Hi there, Michael Eskin here with another demonstration of the backup chord solver. I wanted to show you why having a crowdsourced collection of tunes with backup settings is both a blessing and a curse. And the curse is when you have a tune that has very few backup settings in the database, and those settings are not very good. And interestingly, I ran into this with a case of a tune where I actually put a backup setting in the session.org that was specific for accordion players, but because of the way I entered it, it causes actually an issue when trying to generate chords for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a copy of Mayor Harrison's Fedora. And I'm going to generate the backup chords for it. And we'll go ahead and open them in the ABC transcription tools. And if you know this tune, you know it's certainly not an E major. So why in the world is that first chord an E and not an E minor? I mean, it really should be an E minor. If I played it, it's going to sound terrible. Right? So this is one where you'd probably have to go in and modify all those E's to be E minors. And now it'll play just fine. But the question is, why did it put an E there in the first place? And here's the answer. I'm going to show you the two entries in the database that are for Mayor Harrison's Fedora that have chords in them. And this is actually some JSON, so it's a little terse, but I'm going to just kind of show you. There's two entries here. There's one that I entered, and there's one that this user, Kaylee, entered. And you can see here that the chord listed is actually an E, and then there's these lowercase e's. And this was something I was doing to indicate bass button and chord button on an accordion, but it really means to use power chords. In other words, there should be no thirds in these chords. But this is what's in the database, and you can see here the same thing here. Whoever entered this one also put in E's for the chords. So because the melody pattern would absolutely match this, when it goes through its comparison of all possible tunes in E Dorian, it's going to match one of these two tunes most likely. And that's why we get the E major instead of the E minor in the resulting chords. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that if you run into cases like that when you're doing your chord insertion, it's almost certainly because of a limited number of settings in the session.org database that have chords, and it's going to try to match those probably first. So I've modified my version of the tune in the session.org database, and in the next release that Jeremy does of the database, I'll probably grab a new JSON file and it'll fix this particular tune. But I wanted to kind of show you as a caveat that this is something that you could run into and is just kind of a limitation of this sort of statistical approach to solving tunes by comparing them against an existing database of tunes with chords.